Stage and Screen with Andy Snowden. Let us know what you want to hear on WhatsApp with the number 01978 540 410. We love local. Calon FM.
How cool is that? There you go. AC/DC's Highway to Hell, performed by the Ukulele Orchestra of Great Britain. Now, the Ukulele Orchestra of Great Britain is currently on a world tour, and next Thursday, the 13th of June, they will be playing the Floral Pavilion Theatre over there in New Brighton. And earlier this week, I caught a word with one of the musicians, Mr. Guy Hargreaves. Here he is. I think we better lay our cards on the table before we go any further. I've known you for the best part of 35 years. We went to drama school together, but for me, you've always been a standout, all-round entertainer. Has performing always been in the blood for you?
I think so, Andy. Yeah, I think it was 1979 when I saw Grease with John Travolta and he was dancing on the bonnet of the car, and I thought, is that a job? Yes, please.
Yeah. But was the dream? I mean, obviously, it's real life is never the same, but it is hard work, isn't it? But it does look like a terrific way of life.
I think it's. I was just like, what? You can just dance about and jump about. And I think as a kid, I was never an academic child. And I had ants in my pants, as my mum and dad would say.
Yeah.
So just that kind of thing of going to dancing school was a big release. And of course it wasn't. They didn't have specific dancing on car lessons. I was then in ballet class and I was like, this isn't what I was expecting.
Yeah. But I think one of the bones of contention at the minute is actual people going to drama school. Do you still think it's a necessity to actually go and train as an actor, or can you just get out there and do it, do you think?
That is a good question. I think that sort of craft, and one of our old drama teachers, Patsy Rodenberg, our voice teacher, she talked a lot about this idea of the craft of being an actor. I think there's a lot to be said for that, and I think, some people are really lucky. Like, naturally, you've got a good voice. You project well. I don't ever remember you sort of suffering with loss of voice. You could just do it. But for a lot of people, to be in a show 8 shows a week, they need to have training to look after their voice. They need to learn about stagecraft, where to stand, where to kind of, share your story from the best place on the stage. And some people have that naturally and some people don't. And I think this idea, you can teach craft, and I think it is a good idea for a lot of people, but I realise that for others, just they want to get on with it. They don't want the outlay of living in London or wherever your drama school is for 3 years. And if they can manage to get in a Netflix show or, be the new face in a drama, I can understand why they would just go for it.
Yeah.
But looking back, Andy, I think our training, it was a brilliant thing to do, wasn't it? It's a brilliant thing to be able to be in a safe environment where you can take risks, make some really bad choices where you're not going to be judged.
Yeah. But I think I was a worse judge of myself, and I think that must be true of all of us. We're not very complimentary to ourselves, I think, as human beings. But as you say, in drama school, where you're in a room, you can make the biggest fool of yourself in the world, and literally nobody judges you for it. That is the bonus.
Yeah, I think for young people, if you're going to just get up and be in something without any of that training and that support, then it's a risk, isn't it? Because suddenly you might find yourself in a flop or something that's not well received or is reviewed badly.
Yeah.
And it might really hurt. Whereas I think in drama school, we got quite used to failure. And sometimes I think actually in failing, they're the most interesting lessons we learn as artists or performers, or, like actually really messing it up is quite a positive thing, because you think, I won't do that again, or I'll do the opposite to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you're now in the Ukulele Orchestra of Great Britain, which is pretty goddamn special. But I can't remember you back in the 90s playing a ukulele. When did you first pick up a ukulele?
I first picked up a ukulele. I was doing a show in Lancaster, the Duke's Theatre in Lancaster. They do a big summer park show, so it's a promenade performance, and it was Peter Pan the year that I did it, and the guy that was playing Peter, in the dressing room, he had this little guitar, a ukulele, and he was always twiddling about on it, and I thought, that looks fun. I had a guitar, like you play guitar. I'd had a guitar, and I'd sort of stalled on it a little bit. I wasn't getting anywhere with it. And then I thought, ukulele's great, because if you do go on tour, you can just sling it in your bag. It's not any extra weight, really. They're so portable. So I got a cheap £20 ukulele in about 2012, and then just slowly picked it up and messed about and wrote some songs on it. About 12 years ago is when I started.
Well, we had a 24-hour show on Calon for the NHS in lockdown, and you very kindly sent us an MP3 of you playing with your daughter, a lovely little song that you'd written yourself for a play that you'd written for yourself. I think you were touring it around schools, but I can remember thinking, this is a talented individual. If you can teach yourself an instrument and play it and have the confidence to play it for people, I think that is something special. That.
Well, that's what you do, Andy. You've done that over the years, haven't you? You kind of do the same thing.
I know, but I'm not really good looking. I've got to hide in my bedroom and play, you know what I mean?
I think the interesting thing about ukulele is there's 4 strings, and you've got 4 fingers, excluding your thumb. Mm-hmm. And so, whereas a guitar, I always felt like, I can't always kind of reach everything. Your fingers and the strings of a ukulele sort of marry up much more easily.
Right.
And also, it's I think as a sort of actor musician, to have something like a ukulele means you can just accompany yourself quite simply, really. And the stuff that I do on a ukulele is nothing flashy at all. It's always the kind of simplest line in the ukulele orchestra, especially because there's some incredible players in the orchestra.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is, in an orchestra, of course, you need somebody to play the one in the bar, the simple accompanying part, which is maybe, like just the quarter beat or the half beat, or it's an interesting thing that actually you don't always have to do a fancy thing to be useful in an orchestra.
Well, I've been listening this morning to some of the work of the orchestra, and I mean, you saying some of them are really, really good. Some of them are really, really good, and you're on a world tour at the moment, which is it's just incredible. And you've just returned from the American leg, and now embarking on the European leg of the tour. And I noticed on your social media pages that there's a massive appetite over in America for this genre of music, isn't there?
I think in America, the fact that we're kind of British, and the idea that it's 7 ukuleles on stage, which is quite an eccentric idea.
Yeah.
They enjoy the humour of it, and it's a really good, fun, humorous night in the theatre. Although the genres and the styles of songs, it's not comedy songs. We're doing lots of different styles of songs, but I think the ukulele just makes people smile, and the American audiences seem to really appreciate the humour that we bring and the sort of joy of the thing, really.
I've written humour down on my notes because I that is one of the overriding things, because even when something isn't necessarily you may not necessarily be going for the laughs. There's a bit in I always find with music, especially like this, where you're doing a cover of something and you do something clever that makes you smile, it makes you laugh. It's fantastic, actually. I think people should have a look on YouTube, because some of the work that you've done is fantastic. But you also, as well, when you text me and said that you've joined the Ukulele Orchestra of Great Britain, I couldn't quite picture what it would look like. And then when I looked at it, because you always think an orchestra is 40 people with a conductor in front of them. It's not like that at all, really, is it? It's tell us about how does the show work?
Well, the lineup is 7 players, and we sit in sort of semi-formal attire. So we're in kind of dinner jackets and bow ties, and we sit behind music stands, and we're playing all different scales of ukulele. So from a soprano, which is the kind of standard small ukulele, right up to a bass ukulele, and everything in between. Yeah, we sit there, and I think it's sort of paradoxical that we're kind of there presenting like an orchestra, and then we kind of do some old school rock and roll or a bit of kind of new wave punk, and it's a really eclectic set list that we do, and I think like people enjoy that you go from one thing and then like a bit of Willie Nelson straight into a bit of I don't know, like a theme tune from a Bond movie.
Yeah.
There's that sort of thing, and I've got to say, like at the moment, like what happened for me in terms of my involvement in the ukulele is somebody was not able to do the American tour, and I kind of was asked quite last minute to kind of, if I would be adept, come in and learn the parts, which was terrifying for me, really, because I felt like I was not up to it. Like you, I'd followed the ukes and sort of seen them on YouTube and thought they were amazing, and just thought, I'm not going to be able to hold my own. I thought like I would be completely overwhelmed by what was going on around me. But the sort of generosity and the warmth of the company, the way that they've sort of encouraged me, coached me, mentored me to kind of bring me up to speed has been amazing, really. Like one of the most sort of joyful things that's happened to me in my adult life is to be brought in and helped so much. It's been amazing.
I was talking to, we had a guy called John Wheeler from a band called Hayseed Dixie. Have you ever heard of them?
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about, yeah. Right, I know the band, I don't know the chap, yeah.
Yeah, but they are very similar in many ways. They take popular songs and give them their own twist. And I asked him, and I'll ask you: is there can you turn a ukulele genre to any song, or do certain songs lend themselves to the uke?
Well, next year the Ukulele Orchestra's been going for 40 years, and in those 40 years, I think there's not many styles or genres that they've not had a go at.
Yeah.
And I think as they approach a song, they're not necessarily going for the funny. They don't want it to be like, oh, let's make it funny. They just think like, we've got ukuleles, that's our creative limitation. Let's do the best job we can do at serving the song, like actually kind of interpreting the song the best way that we can. Now, sometimes that might involve like changing the genre, which we sometimes do. The song is famous in this particular kind of style, and then actually when we get 7 ukuleles to it, it seems like, oh, let's make it into a bluegrass number, or let's turn it into, I don't know, like something that's a hip hop song in the beginning. Might become more ballad-like, or we might change it in some way like that. But it's not necessarily to kind of make it a funny song. It's like, how can we do it to the best of our ability?
Yeah, but it is. It's I think it's not necessarily people don't find it humorous. I think they find it clever. and that's what makes you smile. And it looks, from what I can see from the footage that is online, it just looks like an extremely enjoyable evening. Let me just give you some dates for everybody, because in the Wrexham area, I'd say next week, June the 13th, you'll be playing the Floral Pavilion on the Wirral. But also as well, on September the 28th, you're playing Crewe Lyceum, and on the 29th, you'll be playing the Lowry in Manchester or Salford. It's an incredible tour, and that's all before you go over to Germany and Europe, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've just got back from Dresden about 3 days ago, which was phenomenal, really, seeing that city, and Dusseldorf, Calon, Wiesbaden, all places that I never thought I'd ever get a chance to see. So it's been a bit of a gift to me, really, personally and creatively, just to sort of be part of it. It's been amazing.
Yeah. Do you get the same kind of response in different parts of the world?
Like in America, it was sort of extraordinary. Like, people would really, really let their hair down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like there's a sort of joke in the band where Lisa, who sits next to me in the lineup during "Give Me All Your Lovin'," the ZZ Top number,
yeah.
She sort of says like, "Oh, like, behave yourself, like sort of." Keep seated, please, everybody. You're causing a ruckus. And everyone, of course, is just sitting, smiling, nodding their heads. It's not like the theatre has been broken up. But in America, you know, people sometimes did get up and start headbanging in an AC/DC cover, or in a, you know, just like they want to physically have a good time. Whereas in the British gigs that I've played, I can see that people are enjoying it. And from coming to a gig myself before I joined, I thought it was one of the best nights I'd had in the theatre. It was so joyful. Yeah. But as British people, we're not, we find it quite difficult, I think, to let our hair down and to really kind of like really physically go with something. And in Germany, very, very smiley and happy, and they just keep clapping at the end. You have to come on for a few more bows than you would anywhere else in Germany. It's quite interesting.
Fantastic. Well, it's called the Ukulele Orchestra of Great Britain. As I say, your next, your most local one for us is the Floral Pavilion next week, June the 13th. Guy Hargreaves, it's always a pleasure to speak to you, my friend. You can come on the show anytime.
Yeah, always a pleasure to speak to you, Andy. Yeah, lovely having a chat.
You take it easy on yourself, and we'll have you back on when you play the Lowry, right?
Right, very good. Yeah, that'd be great. Lovely.
Look forward to it. You take care of yourself.
All right. Yeah, ta-ra.
Cheers,
see you, Andy.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
The Talking Heads classic Psycho Killer on the stage and screen show, as played by the Ukulele Orchestra of Great Britain. And they will be playing at the Floral Pavilion in New Brighton next Thursday. That's June the 13th. And the box office number for the New Brighton Floral Pavilion is 0151 666 0000. That is 0151 666 0000. Go on, support your local theatres, ladies and gentlemen. They won't be there forever if you don't.
Stage and Screen with Andy Snowden. Let us know what you want to hear on WhatsApp with the number 01978 540 410. We love local. Calon FM.